A couple of days ago, one of my travel stories just got published. It is a hotel review, a brand new, all-inclusive, adults-only property from Marriott. But why that property? Why now? What goes into the decision of a travel outlet assigning a story, and how does it get made? I'm taking you behind the scenes today. Hey everyone, it's Lily. Welcome back to Tourism Lens. You all know what I talk about here, travel and tourism, and particularly conscious travel. So it might seem a little strange that I just did a story on an all-inclusive resort that is adults only in Isla Mujeres in Mexico that is owned by Marriott. Now, why do these stories get made? Why does that particular story get assigned? Well, here's the thing. There has been a lot of demand for all-inclusive resorts since even a little bit before the pandemic. It's been on the rise. People increasingly want the convenience, the price, value, and vacationing in one place and not having to whip up their wallet, even luxury travelers. Hi, hola. Thank you. How are you?
Good, and you?
Good. Hola, thank you. How are you? Beautiful.
Welcome drink is
Okay.
the Almare drink, right?
Thanks.
Is the passion fruit, is the turmeric, no alcoholic gin,
Okay.
is lime, and the foam is the coconut.
Thank you
right?
very much.
Enjoy.
What's the property next door?
Like, yeah, like beach club.
Beach club.
Local beach club. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh. My room or my apartment? This is. Oh. Okay. Nice. I'm sure I'll have plenty of time to get acquainted with my view.
This
Nice.
door has a sensor on top.
Yeah.
When you open the door, the AC goes on.
Okay. So the first consideration is the reader. The Bloomberg reader is affluent, they're influential, and they like to know what's the latest and greatest, not just from the consumer perspective, but also from a business perspective. So that's why this particular story had to be made, because Marriott, as well as Hilton Hotels, as well as Hyatt Hotels, all of these giant hotel companies are investing big time and betting on the all-inclusive resort model. They're saying they're going to make it more luxurious. They're going to upgrade it basically in the Caribbean. It's not going to be these giant-sized hotels. They're going to be more small-sized, 200 plus or less suites, and upscale. It's going to be more culturally themed. In other words, they're going to be grounded in the destination, not just in the decor, but also in the food and also in the things that you get to experience on and off property. So they're saying basically they're making it better, more expensive as well. But here's the thing. As much as I am not a fan of all-inclusive, I got assigned to the story because A, I know the region very well. I'm familiar with all of the major resorts in the Caribbean, and I would be able to go there and compare and see how different this really is. Secondly, even though I'm not a fan of all-inclusive resorts, and my entire team at work knows this, but so that was the point of sending me, because we always try to keep, a balanced view on our stories, and it's important to send someone who's independent, someone who's not going to go there and just gush about everything, because that's not the point. The point is to give the consumer an honest review of the property and see the pluses as well as the minuses. As far as the all-inclusive resort model itself, the reason I've not been a fan of them while I was living in the Caribbean is because there's huge leakage that happens when you have a multinational brand that takes root in one of these destinations. Basically, you know, the money that people give when they make their bookings leaks out of the destination. It never makes it there. I think it's even more than 30% of that money. Versus, say, if you were to stay at an independent hotel that's locally owned, right? Now, that's one side of it. The other side of it is that a lot of times at these resorts, they don't upskill their workers. A lot of the workers are not able to become general manager or even reach manager rank. Now, that's generally the case, not always. So, however, this is kind of changing at some of these luxury resorts. So you have to be able to distinguish between who's doing a good job, who's not doing a good job. And it's important because when a Marriott luxury collection small hotel comes to a destination that is otherwise full of really tacky, low quality hotels that pay their resort workers very little, it's important because then they're, you know, leveling up not only the service, but also the jobs they're offering to these folks and the pay as well. At least that is the hope. Now, I can tell you that I decided that it was okay to do this because A, I mean, it's my job, but B, it's important from a business perspective. It's important to know what are tourism trends, what's happening, who's doing what. And these hotels, let me tell you, are going at it. They are one-upping each other to get that all-inclusive dollar. And there's no waning in demand from people. They just want these all-inclusive resorts. Okay, so my overall impression, beautiful property, very Marriott, you know, neutral colors. They went through a lot of detail in terms of the art that was specially commissioned by artists from Oaxaca, as well as from other parts of Mexico. And you get to learn through the art as well. In fact, they offer an art walk through the hotel to talk to you about the various pieces. All of it relates to the destination, which is Isla Mujeres. Now, when I got on the property, I noticed that there was a lot of couples, mostly, I would say, Gen X couples, also LGBTQ folks. All of them, so couples, and also families, intergenerational family groups vacationing together. Majority of them are Marriott Bonvoy people. So I have to notice all of these details when I'm doing the story because that has to go in there. You know, it's examining the clientele. It's looking at the level of service. Is the service really elevated, as they say it will be in these new reinvented all-inclusive resorts? Is the food elevated? Because that's a big part of the promise that they're making, is that the food is going to be more locally sourced, finer, and, you know, and that you're getting value for your money. So I had to really scrutinize, you know, what was the menu like at breakfast? What was the menu like at dinner and lunchtime? They had a main restaurant for breakfast. Most of the restaurants are actually open air, which is really nice. You have the option of sitting outside. And there's a poolside grill. And then there's upstairs a Mediterranean restaurant. Things that I did notice while I was there is that there was a lot of talk about the destination. So it's very unusual for an all-inclusive resort, at least a typical all-inclusive resort. A lot of the staff were talking about Isla Mujeres to me. They were telling me about some of the traditions. It was in the food. It was in the art around me. It was in conversations. And then a lot of their activities are on a calendar, and you can access an app to see the activities. And I would say at least 50% of them were culturally oriented. So they had a ceramics class outdoors by the cafe, near the beach at the hotel, which I took part in. And they also had a sunrise jog on Sunday morning at 6 a.m. if you want to get up at that time while you're on vacation. To the nearby park, which is a local attraction where you have lots of statues of the women that used to live on Isla Mujeres, including the goddess of Ixchel, the goddess of the moon, fertility, and all these women would come and live on the island and worship Ixchel and, you know, make their dreams come true and all of that. So all of these stories you get to hear on this jog and on the way back. Now, what was interesting to me is that they're trying really hard. Like, I felt like they were trying definitely very hard to be different, to be a different kind of all-inclusive, that they were more culturally grounded and they had higher quality stuff. But it's like somehow I felt like the hotel was missing a little bit of soul. And I know it's because it's new, probably. So it was a little bit soulless to me, but the great thing was that they encouraged guests to go off property. And Isla Mujeres is a great place for that. I mean, it's really easy to rent a golf cart, go explore on your own, drive around, go to the north side, because the hotel is actually on the south end, which is quieter, not entirely. But the north is the busy, super touristed side. Check it out and then come running right back to your lovely oasis of a hotel. The rooms are massive. Everything was actually quite nice in terms of the service. When I went back to my room one night at, I would say around 10 p.m., I could not believe that there was a boom, 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 boom in my room from music that was playing at a beach party next door. It's not part of the hotel. It's a neighboring business that operates at night as a beach party club. And people were out there dancing on the beach. The music was just so loud. It was like it was playing in my room. Now, it's unfortunate for them because they hadn't anticipated this happening because it was December, it's the holidays, and maybe by now it would have died down, I hope. But you could also have a room on the other side of the property on the pool side, and you wouldn't hear any of that noise. So just FYI. So is Marriott really reinventing the all-inclusive resort? My conclusion is that it is. It's an effort. I think that the being culturally grounded, the concierge encouraging me to go off property and encouraging other guests to go off property, the ease of movement, you're not completely walled off. And then if you wanted to stay, you could and still take part in cultural activities. I think that's positive. The staff were absolutely wonderful. And you could tell that they were being trained to provide that level of 5-star service. That's important because it makes them more marketable. Once they work there, they can work elsewhere if they want to. The general manager is also Mexican, which I think is great. Important to have locals at the highest levels of positions in hotels. So I think it's positive. I don't know if it will encourage other all-inclusive resort brands to step it up and do better. We'll see, but so far, it's pretty impressive. Now, it's not my type of travel personally, but I can understand why people would want to go for this if they can afford it. So that is how a story gets made. I get sent there, I look around, I talk to guests. Yes, total strangers. I have to go up and be like, so what did you think about your stay? How's your stay going? And I even went up to a bar on the rooftop after dinner not because I particularly wanted to go to the bar, I don't even drink, but because I knew that I needed to get some feedback from people. And so I went up there and they were watching this game on a big screen, on a plasma screen. It was like a football game because there was nothing else going on. There was no really entertainment at night there. And so this lady starts talking to me. I sat at the bar and sure enough, she was there with her husband and starts talking to me and said, oh, are you here by yourself? And I was like, yeah, I am. I said, but I'm actually here to review the hotel. I'm a travel journalist. And she was intrigued and thought, wow, I want your job. It's usually what people say, but trust me, it's not easy. And then, tells her husband and we start talking and she shares a little bit about how they ended up choosing that hotel, what they think of it so far. And that gave me some really good insight, into, and the funny thing is that was their first time overseas, which I was so surprised, but it's pretty cool. They were from California. So I opened my story with something that she said. And that is how sometimes stories come together. After that, I did try to talk to a couple of other folks, but they were like, oh, we just got here and we're not really sure. Some people aren't always comfortable talking to journalists, but anyways, I'm grateful to those who do. And that is how the story comes together. It gives you a little overview of everything that happened. And if you want to check it out, go to Bloomberg.com. I've included the link below in the description. Let me know if you'd like to hear more behind the scenes on how stories get made. This one was a hotel review, But there are many more types of stories that I get to work on, including more of an investigative type of tourism story, as well as narratives of places when you go, and more of a destination story. So what do you think? Would you pay $1,000 to stay at one of Marriott's brand new adults only all-inclusives? There are lots more opening, by the way, this year. I think between now and 2027, they've got at least more than a dozen all-inclusive hotels in the pipeline that they say will change the all-inclusive completely. Let me know what you think. Would you pay $1,000 for that or use your points? Is that something that you stay at? I mean, do you guys stay at all-inclusive resorts? Let me know in the comments. And thank you for watching. See you next time.